Hello, people of the world. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I like to refer to as the rustification, even though that's not a word, the rustification or rustication, the rustication of our culture currently, which is something I'm very pleased with. You know, I don't know if you guys have noticed this massive wave of programming on television like Vikings, Timber Kings, Building Wild, Surviving Wild, Treehouse Masters. There's a massive onslaught of a more kind of primordial way of being, a more bushcraft, man getting back to his rugged essential nature, which I think is sort of the daydream and fantasy of all men, to live like a Viking or a hobbit or a lumberjack, or just something that brings you and refines you and reduces you into your basic masculine essence. I'm very much in a phase like that right now. Not going hand in hand with the cultural trend, although I'm thinking they go hand in hand for a reason, and that's what is the crux of what I want to talk about. I feel that this yearning for the rustic essence and the rustic nature is a knee-jerk reaction and a rebuttal to technology. For myself, because I'm very much consumed and use technology in a healthy way, I use it as an extension of my brain, the same way that a cop uses a gun as an extension of his fist. I feel that to compensate for that, what that has taken away from me in the human experience, what I've been subtracted of, the way that I am compensating for that, and to the greater effect, the way that culture is compensating for that, is a real want to go back to something that's essential and that really connects us with what the human experience is really supposed to be. We are most happy and we are most healthy, living a very quiet, simple, agrarian life, hunter-gathering agrarian life. That's what our bodies are still programmed for. That's what would give us the most amount of health and well-being and satisfaction. So I think that these things, to sum up, I think that these things can coexist. This massive, exponential rate of technology that continues to unfurl and suck us in, but at the same time, that can kind of coexist with getting back to a way of living that is, I think that you can, plant your garden and, be on your iPad at the same time. I think that, the iPad and the iPhone can help and are tools to live a better, more, primordial, primeval, agrarian, hunter-gatherer lifestyle. So the aesthetic is also, for me, very appealing. The aesthetic of there's very there's a lot of different aesthetics of this kind of movement, from the American frontiersmen to the Alpine European cultures, Tyrolean, Bavarian, Black Forest, French Alsatian. You have a lot of different interpretations of this kind of form of the rustic man. But I also, for me, the best is the Baroque, the European Baroque woodsman. Because I just feel that to connect more with the old world. The Asian cultures are able to do this, where they have extreme modernity and side by side with very ancient cultures and customs. And I feel like the Western cultures may be going towards a similar dichotomy, a similar end. To a similar solution, where the modernity and the primeval will coexist, and a lot of it is going to be just out of necessity, with just the way that the world is where the direction the world is going. Self-reliance and independence is going to just be more and more of a necessity, and it just feels better to be, off the grid. It just feels a little bit more. I feel that, the men of yore just felt a little bit more like men because of, the fact that they lorded over their own plots of land, and they lorded over their own providence, and they were able to really get all the benefits and get all the rewards of that feeling of independence from the main the main grid. Or there was no grid back then, but the metaphorical grid. So I encourage people to buy axes and knives, and take your little plastic buttons off and get yourself some hand-carved walnut buttons, or antler crown buttons, or antler toggles, or acorns, and get your oak leaf embroideries happening. And I feel like the rustic age is upon us.